As evening came, Lon and Pete prepared for the 6th night of their trip, looking forward to riding well into Ohio before they slept.
Check out that fancy red board. I reset it, I can't remember.
Guaranteed.
You want me to look at the other board?
Well, the winds will be good. I think the rain is not going to be a factor. They're going to get dumped on tomorrow morning for the latest update. This is the race across, we're starting to call it the race across forever.
Right here.
There it is, easy through, right there. Looking good.
With only an hour and a half of sleep each night, how were they managing to stay awake by this stage of the attempt?
Playing number games a lot, figuring out what time we have to get to certain cities and spots along the route, to get in to Atlantic City at certain times. So, that keeps your mind occupied. It seems like if you can convince yourself it can be done, then you can go ahead and do it.
This ride's been quite a bit different from the cross-country races because the amount of time we can spend interacting with other people is limited by official race rules. But we didn't impose those rules on ourselves for this record attempt, so we've had people with us quite a bit. And some of them we know and we're renewing old acquaintances and so on, and others we've never met before. So you can get to talking to somebody and learn a lot and have an hour or two go by without even being conscious of the passing time.
Are you happy with where you're at right now?
Considering the conditions, yes. We had such poor weather the first 4 days, primarily wind.
Why don't you move over here?
That it didn't look like we were even going to meet our what we called our backup goal of finishing in less than 8 days. And now, we've thought about it a lot, talked about it, and we think it's possible now to get back onto the original goal, which was to do the race in about 7.5 days. So we finished Saturday night, whereas a couple days ago there wouldn't have been any way, except that we had a real good day yesterday and another one today.
Did it help you having your wife come out to meet you and that give you something to look forward to?
Yeah, that I think made yesterday go by faster because I wanted to get into St. Louis at a faster time and see Susan and she came out last night and was in the van and she was on the microphone telling us stories and all kinds of stuff all night. And so kept us pretty motivated last night.
It was near Sterling, Ohio that they stopped that night. As wet as it was, they still had missed the major storm front which passed just behind them to the north.
Last light?
No. For some reason the generator
There's no line of sight.
There's some fight for it.
Thanks, Pete.
Yeah, I just got out.
Lon and Pete had covered 383 miles during the last 24-hour cycle and had averaged 17.7 miles per hour.
Next one's a little deeper, I think.
How'd this happen? Was this a heroic trait?
Burritos last night, and like an idiot trying to pit the avocados with a very sharp knife, and the knife slipped. Don't ever do this, folks.
Kind of.
By the time they got to the Ohio River, their shoes were dry and they were ready to take on the hilly country roads of West Virginia. Because of the hills, this 24-hour cycle would be the slowest time of the ride. 330 miles at an average of 15.7 miles per hour. The night had been unusually chilly, and the morning was downright cold. But, barring any unforeseen complications, this would be the last of the days. The last of the nights with only 1.5 hours sleep. The last leg of an incredibly fast transcontinental crossing. Later that day, Lon and Pete began reflecting on their success thus far.
I think we're finally starting to get used to what we're doing. So nothing hurts anymore. Very much. So we can enjoy the riding more than we have. So there'll be a lot more people coming out to ride with us today. That'd be kind of interesting to meet them and talk to them.
Well, there should be lots of people as we come through this area to Lancaster and through sundown. And there might even be a lot of them that ride with us to Atlantic City. So this is probably the most heavily populated cycling area besides California that we were going to ride through the whole way.
Hi. Hey.
We haven't wasted much time the whole trip, so I don't think that's going to be a problem. But we're just, we just want to stay on the bike, as much as possible today, just to finish. And we don't have to worry about recovery and things like that anymore. We don't have to do this again tomorrow. So, however hard you want to push yourself today and just get it over with, we'll have all day tomorrow to sleep in if we want. We don't have to get up after an hour and a half of sleep again.
We really had a couple of good days in a row, and a little bit of the setback last night because it got so cold, but overall we have a slim chance of getting in before midnight tonight. And so that's kind of what we're trying to do, is just keep the speed steady and minimize the break time. See if we can get in by then, and then we'll have a nice long sleep break.
I think when you're setting your goals, you're going to always set something just a little bit out of reach.
Right.
And our overall goal was always break 8 days. Well, when we saw that was at one time we figured that even might be out of reach when we had all those headwinds through the Midwest. Well, then 8 days became realistic again, and the more we thought about it, finishing before midnight at 7 days, 15 hours became realistic. So over the last couple days, we've been trying to work around that goal. It's gonna be close to that, and if we don't make that goal, we're not going to let it ruin the whole trip for us, because things have gone pretty well in so many other areas. And if for some reason over the last couple days our goal of finishing before midnight looked too easy, we probably would have set a goal of finishing in the afternoon or something, So whatever you kind of pick for a goal, it's always going to be just out of reach enough where it's going to make you really work at it. And for us to try to finish before midnight today, we're going to have to ride well and not spend hardly any time off the bike. So we'll just see how it goes.
We won't have any regrets about how hard we rode and whether we made it within some unrealistically slow goal or whatever. We've done the best we could the whole way, and we're going to feel great tonight, no matter what happens, no matter what time we get there.
Because doing events like this anyway, there seems to be quite a bit of a hindsight mentality of no matter how well you do, you do meet your goals, you still tend to sit back a week later and say, boy, I could have cut 5 minutes off there and an hour off there and stuff like that, and you still find ways of almost belittling your accomplishment. And I think we're just try to do the best we can at any given minute throughout the event, and we'll just have to live with that, with the results that happen. And so, considering the things that we've been through on this trip, the weather obstacles and whatnot, I think things have gone pretty well. And we're just hoping that we can finish safe and everybody ends up having a good experience from it all.
And what about their evaluation of the crew?
You
I think they've gelled excellently. You know, there was a little bit of differences, I think, maybe the first few days, and that was primarily because we hadn't had the chance to sit down and say, well, this is how we like to do it, on all these little nitpicky little details of putting which finger goes in the glove first, and that kind of stuff. That kind of comes with experience. And after a day or so, things smoothed out right away. And I think the crew's been excellent.
You know, when we were down in Kansas, and, they never gave up on us, and they knew that things had changed and it'd get better, and they were, they just didn't drop with us. It was really important to us that they didn't.
Yeah.
So, we have to give them a lot of credit for what we've been able to do, and they've had a good time too. We can tell that just by watching how they've interacted. There'll be some new friendships there because half of them didn't know each other before they started. And a trip that's this intense, it draws people together very quickly. There's going to be a lot of lasting friendships out of this trip.
What had they been able to apply from their past experiences?
Well, gee, I guess it's a number of things. One is, the importance of the crew, and the others are training, the training methods that we used, and just some of the new technology we used this time. Liquid diet is one of the primary ones. And Lon can attest to that because I used it before. I knew how it would work for me, but neither one of us really knew how it was going to work for him. And it's just been dynamite.
It's hard to separate single factors. You could take any one thing out of this trip, and the whole thing could have failed. But a major improvement was the liquid diet, and knowing how I felt on past events, my sleep schedules, afternoon fatigue, general alertness, things like that, on this trip have been superior to any other time in my life, during any other dozen transcontinental rides. And the only major thing different between this attempt and some of the other ones, besides doing it with Pete, is the liquid diet. You've got differences in equipment and things like that, but you're talking, maybe 3 to 5% or something, of that. With the liquid diet, I could say it's definitely up there in the 200 to 300%. And so overall, it really made a big difference how I felt. And I'm not the type that's easily influenced by fad diets and things, and I would just as soon always eat solid food, just because I like to eat. But the benefits have been so tremendous. It's almost like I didn't want to get distracted by eating any solid food, because I liked the way I felt on the liquid diet, and I didn't want to mess with that, diluting the effects or anything. So, I would say that's probably the biggest technological improvement, for me anyway, the whole trip. Right at the T.
Looking for 16 east.
Right here.
At the stop sign?
At the stop sign? At the T, stop sign. Okay.
What's really been exciting for me is to see how well it's worked for Lon, because the Ultra Energy, the liquid food that I used last year, was really developed just for me, for Race Across America. And then afterwards, they decided to test market it and see if it would work well for other people. And so the experiment worked. It wasn't just me, it was, now we know, it's just a dynamite product. We're real excited about it, and I'm sure, of course, they will be too.
Hey, no bike change. Take a right. No bike change.
Okay.
And with all the medical data that they've been collecting now between the both of us over the last week, they can go back and I think verify any benefits and things.
And compared with other records Lon and Pete had set, how was this one special?
Well, I think it's special that it's the fastest anybody's ever crossed the United States by bicycle under human power, and that's a unique experience. and another is, to be able to do it with Pete and be able to, trade ideas and kind of brainstorm, like we have been over the past year. And some things we thought would work, and they didn't, and we came across some other new things. So that's it's been a real learning experience. It's kind of like going back for your PhD in cross-country cycling or something. It's been a lot of fun.
Well, I don't know how to add to that. He said it very, very well. I really enjoy riding tandem, and I've ridden with my wife. I've ridden with Rob Templin for years. I've raced with him, and in fact, we even did a cross-country record attempt back in '79. But there was this loose end for me with the Tandem Transcontinental, because back in '79 when we did it, it was totally different. I mean, we just didn't conceive of doing a Transcontinental the way we do it today. And we just rode during the daylight. Every time it got dark, we got off the bike. And so the times were real slow. And so I knew, that here's a way that we could cross the country faster than anybody could do on their own. But the tandem is just so much more powerful. And I couldn't think of a better guy to do it with than a guy I had grown to respect over the years, with my participation race across America, and a way to get to know him better, and just the whole experience of the both the personal and the technological and the sheer challenge of it, I guess, is to ramble on, but to wrap it up.
At long last, they reached the Commodore Perry Bridge. On the other side is New Jersey, and just 60 miles to the Golden Nugget. They had calculated that it would be possible to arrive just before midnight, and now it was time to sprint.
You guys want to take anything at all? A little sip? Oh, no thanks. We're at a crude in.
There you go.
We're going to just keep a couple seconds.
It's great to be here at the Golden Nugget. Our official time was 7 days, 14 hours, and 55 minutes. At one point in the trip in Kansas, we figured there was really no way we were even going to come in below 8 days, and we were almost ready to go and start over again. The weather was so bad, but anyway, we just kind of kept plodding along, and things worked out better the last 3 days, and we were able to squeak in here just under the 7-day, 15-hour time limit.